Welcome back to the False Prophet channel, and this is Brother Jacob, and this is the False Prophet channel where we get Islam busted and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, busted on a regular basis. Greetings, everybody. Today we have a very special show lined up for you today. We will be, once again, getting the prophet of Islam busted, as always, and we're about to show you how Muslims are not following, well, better yet, Muslims are not supposed to follow the example of Muhammad. So you can consider this a myth buster video. It's a myth going around that Muslims are supposed to follow the example of Muhammad and that Muhammad is the best example for Muslims to live by. But we have a hadith to show you that's going to destroy the Muslims' claims that Muhammad is the best example for mankind and that he was the best human to ever live. So without further ado, we're about to show you this hadith. And as you see, the hadith is good that we're about to show you. Let's show you. It's Hassan. That means it's good. Okay, so the Muslims can't say, it's weak, Brother Jacob. It doesn't say that, CP. It doesn't say that, Brother Jacob. You Islamophobe. You're lying. That's not what it says. What do you have against Islam? What, don't you have other things to do with your time instead of making videos exposing Muhammad? Get a life, hater. What's wrong with you? Don't you know the Prophet Muhammad was the greatest man to ever? Blah, 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 blah. Now let's show you. Okay. Now it's time to bust the Muslim myth that Muhammad is the greatest man who ever lived and that he's the greatest example and that Muslims are supposed to be following the example of Muhammad. But no, you're not Muslims. But that's what y'all been telling us all of this time. And it's gonna get even worse for you. So let's read. It was narrated that Hudayfa bin Yaman said, the messenger of Satan said, I do not know how long I will stay among you. So follow the example of these two after I am gone. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar. It doesn't say that, Brother Jacob. Let's read it again. The messenger of Satan said, I do not know how long I will stay among you. So follow the example of these two after I am gone. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar. For those who don't know, Abu Bakr and Umar, both of these men were Muslim caliphs. Okay? And for those who don't know what a caliph is, a caliph is the ruler of the Ummah in Islam. The caliph is the one who decides everything. He is like the chief of the Muslims. And as you clearly see, Muhammad, he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar that these two men, you are supposed to follow their example when I am gone. Muslims, this bring in a whole new paradigm to everything, because you Muslims, you talk about Christians. You say we worship a man God and this, that, and the other, and how can we believe in a Trinity? Well, Muslims, you also say that Jesus was a prophet. So for the sake of argument, let's say you are right, Muslims. Like, why are we following a man God? Okay, for the sake of argument, we'll say you're right, Muslims. But you Muslims still agree that Jesus was a prophet. And even in Islam, the life that Jesus led was far better than the life of Muhammad. Now, Muslims, we are about to get you busted even more. Because check this out. These two men who Muhammad said you are supposed to follow their examples, they are not even prophets. Uh-oh, Muslims. So that means for Muslims, you are supposed to follow the example of two men who were not even prophets. Uh-oh, Muslims. You're in hot boiling water now, because we're about to show you something else. And this is from a Muslim site. We're about to get into this, Muslims. We're about to go into the deep waters because it's more to this. So let's show you, Muslims. This is from alislam.org, okay? Now, on this site, and this is not an Islamophobe site. This is not Brother Jacob doesn't run this site. Let's read this article, okay? Because these are Muslims and they disagree with some of the things that Abu Bakr and Umar did in their lifetime as political leaders of the Muslim nation. So let's read a little bit of this article. The major failure of Abu Bakr and Umar. And I'm going to read pretty fast. I'm a pretty good reader. Unlike Muhammad, who was illiterate, I am well lettered myself. And let's read. The major failure of Abu Bakr and Umar. The difference between a politician and a statesman, it has been said, is that the politician thinks of the next election, the statesman of the next generation. What it means is that the impact of a politician on the public is transitory, whereas that of a statesman is enduring. In the case of leaders who are dead, people remember them according to whether their actions and ideas change the course of history, and whether their works have become part of the national heritage. Abu Bakr and Umar were great statesmen, and their actions and ideas changed the course of history without a doubt. They were great leaders, conquerors, and administrators. But notwithstanding all the greatness of Abu Bakr and Umar, there is one area in which their vision as statesmen failed them, and it failed them totally. But hold up, Muslims. You're supposed to follow their example. But you Muslims are saying they failed at something. But you were told to follow their example. Okay, this is about to get real deep. Okay, let's finish reading. The area in question relates to the leadership of the Muslims. They failed to create an apparatus of succession for the Muslim Ummah. They failed to develop a system of peaceful transfer of sovereignty from one incumbent to another. Oh, I'm gonna have so much fun tearing these Muslims down with this. Before Abu Bakr and Umar, their master Muhammad, the messenger of God, had designed an apparatus for orderly and peaceful transfer of power. But most unfortunately, they, Abu Bakr and Umar, dismantled it. But oh my. And in its stead, they designed an apparatus of their own. Their apparatus was workable, but it had too many bugs in it, like a bed bugs. in contradistinction to the inspired plan of Muhammad for succession, Abu Bakr and Umar adopted a makeshift system of their own in Saqifa. Their system was successful in the sense that it put power in their hands. First one and then the other of them became the successor of Muhammad. After all, nothing succeeds like succession. But as events were soon to show, their system was incompatible with a coherent strategy. Coherence and not visceral ad hoc eri is the essence of statesmanlike strategy. When Muhammad the apostle of Satan died, Abu Bakr and Umar inaugurated the Al-Khilafate Ir-Rashida, the rightly guided caliphate. And Abu Bakr became the first rightly guided caliph. It's funny how they talking about they had error, but the Muslims call them the rightly guided. But that's just the start. Let me keep going. Woo! Okay, this religion is so crazy. 2 years later, when he was dying, and Abu Bakr became the first rightly guided caliph. 2 years later, when he was dying, he appointed Umar as his successor, who then became the second rightly guided caliph. 10 years later, Umar lay dying, and he was confronted once again with the problem of transferring power. But all that he did was to design a jerry-built apparatus to find a leader for the Ummah, even though he had gained long experience of government and politics. The dismantlement by Abu Bakr and Umar of the apparatus for transfer of power, which Muhammad had given to his Ummah, proved to be the greatest tragedy in the history of Islam. Let's read that again. The dismantlement by Abu Bakr and Umar of the apparatus for transfer of power, which Muhammad had given to his Ummah, proved to be the greatest tragedy in the history of Islam. Maurice Latte, writing about the Roman emperors in his book Patterns of Tyranny, published by Athenaeum, New York, says, the means color the end, and for all Augustus' statesmanship, the methods by which he seized power left a blah, blah, blah. For all the statesmanship of Abu Bakr and Umar, the methods by which they seized power left a fatal flaw in the foundations of the rightly guided caliphs, which repeatedly shook the edifice and finally destroyed it. Okay? Okay. Okay. So basically what it's saying, let me read this part. But there is no way of knowing what did Abu Bakr and Umar think would happen after Uthman. It appears that Umar tried to look beyond Uthman. Thinking of the times after Uthman, he adopted Muawiyah as his protege, just as Muhammad had groomed Ali for ruling the Muslim Ummah after himself. Okay? So, this is a lot to read. But basically, what this is saying, this article is basically saying that these two Muslim caliphs, Abu Bakr and Umar, that they failed to lay out a good plan of who would succeed in the power after their death. Okay? So, as you see, the first caliph, he passed the power down to Umar, okay? Or vice versa. Really doesn't matter, but we're just making a point. And when the second caliph came into power, which was Umar, guess what? He didn't designate anyone to take power after he died. So basically this article is saying that the Muslim world was left in a limbo, not knowing who was supposed to be in power. Okay? It's kind of like the Shia and the Sunni split. They split over who's supposed to take the reins of control in the Muslim world. So this is what this article is saying. But they are basically in this article, as you see the title of the article, the major failure of Abu Bakr and Umar. So they are saying that these two caliphs are failures, but at the same time, they calling them the rightly guided. How are they rightly guided and they failed? But that's not even the point I'm trying to drive home. By them saying these two men failed, then they are condemning their prophet as a failure as well. Because Muhammad is the one who said he didn't know how long he had left to live, and he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar, and he said, when I die, follow the example of these two. He said, follow the example of these two, okay? Now, that opens up a whole world of problems, and I'll tell you why. Let's go back to Sunnah. Let's bring that hadith back up. Here it go. Let's read it again. The messenger of Satan said, I do not know how long I will stay among you. So follow the example of these two after I am gone. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar. Now, what's the first question that comes in mind? What happens when Abu Bakr and Umar disagree on something? Uh-oh, Muslims. Uh-oh, open up another can of tuna fish. Uh-oh, here's another problem. Here's another problem in your religion. Here's another doctrinal error, and we are exposing it. What happens, Muslim, when Abu Bakr and Umar disagree on something? Who do you follow then? You see how unwise Muhammad was? He pointed to two people. Now let's go point by point. He pointed to two men who were not prophets, as we already established. These two men, like we just read the article, these two men had a dissatisfactory rulership that wasn't satisfactory to the Muslims. Even then and even now. As you see, we just read the article. Okay? So when it's all said and done, Muhammad is the one responsible because he is the one who said, you follow the example of these two men. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar. So the Muslims can't sit back and whine and complain and say, under the rulership of Abu Bakr and Umar, it was a great tragedy because they didn't leave a good plan of who to pass the power down to. Okay? But you can't say that. And also, the reason why you can't say that, because Muhammad said, follow their example. So if their example was not to plan things out properly, then Muslims, that's the example you're supposed to follow. They didn't. So in Muslim countries, that means they are not supposed to plan out who to pass the power over to. Because the article, that's exactly what it was talking about. How Abu Bakr and Umar failed to concretely define who was up next for power. That's what it's all about. You see? So if they failed, and if that's your example, then how can you condemn them? When Muhammad is the one who said, follow these two. So if you condemn them, you are condemning Muhammad. You are telling us as Christians who are sitting back and watching all of this, you are telling us that Muhammad didn't know what he was doing, and because he made a decision like putting Abu Bakr and Umar in power, he didn't think things through. Now, Muhammad didn't say follow a little bit of the example of Abu Bakr and Umar. He didn't say follow their example if it pleases you. No. He said follow the example of these two after I am gone. So Muslims, you must follow the example of not planning things out properly. You got to follow the example of Muhammad as well, because Muhammad didn't think things through enough. Because if he did, you wouldn't have alislam.org writing an article about it in 2020, talking about what Abu Bakr and Umar failed to do. But at the end of the day, it all points back to Muhammad, because he is the one who made the decision that Muslims should follow these two men, Abu Bakr and Umar. And by the way, they were not prophets. So don't come telling us Muslims that we follow a man God. And for the sake of argument, we know Jesus is God in the flesh, but for the sake of argument, let's just say we following Jesus the prophet. You Muslims were told to follow two earthly men who were not prophets. Abu Bakr and Umar were not prophets. But yet, Muhammad put them up as your leaders and examples to follow. He didn't say follow them if they do the things that I taught when I was alive. He didn't say that. He said follow these two after I am gone. And he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar. So when Muslims come telling you that they follow Muhammad as the great example, show them this hadith and tell them, Abdul, you are a liar. You are lying. These two men are the gods of your religion. This is who you're supposed to follow, Muslims. Abu Bakr and Umar is right in front of your face. And anything that they did in their life, any flaw that they did, any flaw in the way that they ruled and carried out things, that's what you are supposed to follow. So when Muhammad said to follow these two, he nullified everything that he taught. So the chapter of Muhammad closed when he died. So all of that stuff, all of them other hadiths and all of that other stuff, the Muslims may as well throw that out into the garbage bin. None of that matters. Because Muhammad said, after I am gone, he pointed to Abu Bakr and Umar and he said, follow these two men as my example. And there's no way out of it, Muslims. This is who you are to follow. Abu Bakr and Umar. So don't come telling us anything else about Muhammad and Muhammad is the best example. Oh no, he's not. Abu Bakr and Umar is the example that you Muslims supposed to follow. That's right. And with that, I'm going to end this video. But I can go deeper in this. But I'm going to end this video right here. Actually, I don't want to end this video right here because I want to show you Muslims something else. Let me bring up another hadith before I end this video. Now everybody read what this say. Narrated Abbas bin Rabia. Umar came near the black stone and kissed it and said, "No doubt, I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit anyone nor harm anyone. Had I not seen Allah's apostle kissing you, I would not have kissed you." And this is, let me show the Muslims. This is Sahih al-Bukhari, Abduls. You can't say it's weak. Notice what Umar said, the one whose example you are supposed to follow. He said that the black stone can neither benefit anyone nor harm anyone. Keep that in mind. He said it can neither benefit anyone nor can it harm anyone. Okay? So, who do you supposed to believe? Muhammad or Umar? Because Muhammad said otherwise. But Muhammad is dead last time I checked, Muslims. And he said once he is dead and gone, you're supposed to follow the example of Umar. And this is the example that Umar left. He said that the black stone can neither hurt anyone nor harm anyone. But let's see what Muhammad said. Muhammad said differently. It was never, and let's show the Muslims. This is it's Hassan, Muslims. It's good. You can't say, Brother Jacob, it doesn't say that. The Arabic doesn't say that. It don't say that. You Islamophobe. Why are you hating on us? Let's read what it says. It was narrated that Sa'id bin Jubair said, I heard Ibn Abbas say, the messenger of Allah said, the stone will be brought on the day of resurrection, and it will be given 2 eyes with which to see, and a tongue with which to speak, and it will bear witness for those who touched it in sincerity. But not anymore, because as you Muslims see, Umar said the stone can neither hurt no one or harm anyone. He said it can neither benefit anyone or harm anyone. But your prophet said it can benefit someone. And how can it benefit? Because it will speak on behalf of the good deeds. The good deed of every Muslim who touched it in sincerity. So which one do we believe, Muslims? Do we believe Muhammad, who said that touching a black stone is a good deed and that this black stone will speak on the day of resurrection on behalf of everybody who touched it in sincerity? Or does this stone, or Muslims, does this stone not benefit anybody who touches it? Because Umar said, no doubt I know that you are a stone and can neither benefit anyone nor harm anyone. So who do we believe? That the stone benefits you when you touch it, like Muhammad said, and is going to testify on the day of resurrection? Or do we follow Umar, the one who your prophet pointed to, and he said, when I am gone, you follow these two? Umar was one of the two. So do we listen to Umar or do we listen to Muhammad, Muslims? Well, I picked the last choice. we listen to Muhammad. Because when he died, he said you follow Umar and Abu Bakr. So everything that Muhammad said about the black stone is nullified. You follow the example of Umar. Umar said the stone can neither benefit nor harm anyone. So that means when you go to Hajj Muslims and you rub the black stone, it does not clear up your sins. Because Umar said that the stone can neither harm nor benefit. I want to find that hadith where it says about the black stone. Where is that hadith? Okay. Where's that hadith? Okay, well, I'll just have to look at it from here. Let's show you. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, quoted the Prophet saying, touching them both, the black stone and the al-Rukin is an expiation for one's sins. So here you have Ibn Umar quoting what Muhammad said. But then Ibn Umar told us that the black stone can neither benefit or harm you. So when it says that touching them erases sins, it doesn't. Because Umar said the stone can neither benefit, it can neither benefit nor harm you. So if there is no benefit in the stone, then guess what? Like, you're supposed to follow the example of Umar. He said there is no benefit in the black stone, and that the only reason why he kissed it is because he saw Muhammad kissing it. So if Umar is the example that you're supposed to follow, and if that was his mindset and that was his interpretation of the black stone, then you're supposed to follow his decision, his interpretation, because his life is the example. His actions, his thoughts, his deeds, everything that he thought about, and everything and every action that he made in relationship to being a Muslim, that's who you are supposed to follow. Forget about your scholars, forget about any of that. You should study the life of Umar and Abu Bakr. That's who you Muslims are supposed to follow. Busted, like we told you, and like we deliver every time we drop a video. And with that, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell me what you think. Christians, Muslims alike. This is irrefutable. And if you're a Muslim, don't come in my comment section talking about off-topic things because you're trying to get away from this. Or I will not respond to any off-topic, unrelated comments in the comment section. We are dealing with a specific topic, and Christians, if they try to get you off this topic, it's because they know they have been busted on this topic. Don't allow them to do it in the comment section. Hold these Abdul's feet to the fire. They've been telling us for years that Muhammad is the best example, but they can't do that anymore. Because the example that Muhammad left was to follow Abu Bakr and Umar. That's the example that your prophet wanted you to follow, not his example. He wanted you to follow the example of Abu Bakr and Umar. And there's no way around it or out of it. And with that, this is Brother Jacob signing out. And this is the False Prophet channel where we get Islam busted and the false prophet of Islam, Muhammad, busted on a regular basis. Like, share, and subscribe. And until we do this again, this is Brother Jacob signing out.